About what we do at WaywardWarriorProject.org.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It is Sports Daily here on KFH. I'm Tommy Kester, TJ Cleland in for Jacob Albrock again today. Max Power producing the program. The KFH hotline is open all morning long at 869-1240. Would love to have you join the program today. You can also leave your video comments on our video stream. We're streaming live on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, also on the 12 News Connected app. You can leave your video comments. We'll get to them as the show rolls on today. You can also leave us your voice messages on the free Odyssey app. You listen to KFH Radio, click the microphone button there on the Odyssey app, and it's kind of like a voicemail. You can leave us your comments, and we can play them back right here on the program. It's a Wednesday. The Royals are on a little bit of a winning streak, 3 in a row, as they take the first 2 at home in this 4-game set against the Minnesota Twins. We'll get into that. Also in our second hour, our KU insider Shreyas Laddha will join us. We'll talk all about Flory Bidunga making his return to the Jayhawks for next season. Any other transfer portal updates and news from Shreyas, we'll do that in hour number 2. And a whole lot more here on the program. TJ, good morning, my friend.
Good morning. When is the booming voice that starts the show going to realize that Jacob is not here this week? What's it going to take to get the Tommy Kester and TJ Cleland show?
You know, I don't think we have him on call, but we can talk to Tony Dusing, our operations manager, see if we can get that done. Because if it's one day, I get it.
It's a whole week.
3 days. Well, 3 days, because today's your last day, right?
Yes.
And then you're getting married this week.
Getting hitched.
So no more work for TJ after today, at least for a little while. Do you feel like you guys have everything covered and you're ready to go?
We're getting there. We got just about everything we can do here. We just got to go actually do it now. So I just got to get ready to be the married man.
No cold feet.
Not yet. I keep telling everybody I'm just gonna have to stretch that morning just to make sure, just so I don't pull a hamstring if I do have to run. So
just get warmed up for it.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful night last night for the WindSurge home opener. You and I were both out at the new Equity Bank Park to watch the WindSurge, and they get a win. A great crowd, great weather, a little bit breezy, but not too bad. Great fireworks show. It was overall a fantastic atmosphere downtown last night for the WindSurge. And I think that, knowing that, that there's opening day anywhere is always going to be exciting. But knowing that, Wichita shows out again for another home opener for the WindSurge, it makes it exciting for the entire season to come.
Yeah, that was one thing that we talked about. I was out there with Michael Schwenke last night, and at the end of the day this morning, nobody's going to be talking about if they won or lost the game. It's a minor league baseball game. But the fact that, almost 6,000 people were at that game last night, that's what the WindSurge are supposed to be about. Nobody's going to, get their blocks off, checking box scores in AA baseball. But just to see 5,000 people plus pack into a baseball stadium on a Tuesday night in downtown Wichita, that's what it's supposed to be. And it's just so big for Wichita in the summer and all the baseball season.
Yeah, I think a year from now, I'm not going to remember what the final score was, but I am going to remember that the WindSurge did win the game.
Yep.
And the fact that, they were able to lead into a pretty fantastic fireworks show for the home opener. I think from a baseball perspective, the biggest storyline coming out of the game is that Walker Jenkins did not play.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the long-term prognosis is for him. It sounds like kind of a day-to-day thing, right?
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to play later this week and be back. It sounded like Dinkelman, their new manager that used to play for the Twins, was talking about it. And it's been like a lingering thing through spring training, and it kind of flared up this past series. And so they said that they want to sit him down for a couple of days to make sure they're not having to sit him down for a couple of months. But it was hilarious. We did all of these live shots ahead of the game, talking about the team and talking about all the new storylines. And every show we had something about Walker Jenkins in there. And then the lineup card came out. We're like, oh my God, he's not playing. So we had to preface. We're like, you can't see him today, but he's going to be really good eventually.
Well, because he's not only the best prospect in the Twins organization, he's one of the best prospects in all of minor league baseball. What is he, number 3?
Number 3 overall. And Roki Sasaki already made his debut, so he's about to be number 2 once they update the standings, once he graduates. So, that's what I kept saying. He's not only one of the best players that we've ever seen in Wichita, he's one of the best Twins prospects of all time. it was Joe Mauer and Byron Buxton were number 1 prospects. He'll be number 2, so he's right on that level.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he'll be in Wichita for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. It said his estimated arrival to the MLB is 2026, but I mean, I can definitely see him being a September call-up this year. I imagine he'll probably get the call to AAA in a couple of months. So it'll be interesting what they do, because as we've seen with the Twins prospects that have come through the wind surge, is that they've kind of just been deadlocked because the Twins lineup is good. Like, Twins hitters don't get the call that very well. So, I mean, he's going to have to jump a Byron Buxton, a Matt Wallner. Like, it's pretty gridlocked up there. So it depends. If we see an injury, I think we can call up and, if a playoff push and, Matt Wallner's out for whatever reason, you could see Walker Jenkins in that spot.
Back in the day, before the Wind Surge were in Wichita, when the Wranglers were in town and they were the Royals affiliate, I mean, that was the way that it was a lot. Like, you knew you were going to see some of the best prospects in all of Major League Baseball coming through Wichita, whether it was Johnny Damon or Alex Gordon. Zach Greinke pitched in Wichita, Billy Butler. I'll never forget, kind of a little anecdote. I'll never forget back, I don't even know what year it was, late 90s, I would guess. And I was a kid. Carlos Beltran came through Wichita and played for the Wranglers. And it was a really short stay. Like, he was only in Wichita, I think, for a month or two. It wasn't long at all. But you knew when you were watching him, like, okay, this is going to be a future superstar. And then that's the great thing about affiliated minor league ball in Wichita, is that you're going to see some of these prospects, and the fact that, like, there are players that are on the Twins major league roster right now, even in the starting lineup in the rotation, that played in Wichita. Jose Miranda was one of the big stars in Wichita, like the first year, I think, that the Surge were in town.
Yeah, I think we did a story on that last night. I mean, they're close to like over 50 Wind Surge alums that have made a major league roster, and there's probably close to 20 that are on a major league roster right now. The Twins lineup yesterday had 3 or 4 of them. Cole Sands pitched in that game last night against the Royals. He was a former Wind Surge guy. So it's one of the best, I imagine. I don't follow it that closely for other teams' organizations, but even just compared to the Royals, like the amount of guys in the past 4 years that we've seen get that call and play in the bigs, it's a pretty good number.
Now we just need the stars to align, and I don't know when the first time that Northwest Arkansas comes to Wichita.
September. It's like in September. Okay. So Jack will not be in Double A.
Man, I was going to say, if we could get Walker Jenkins and Jack Caglione playing on the same field in Wichita. Yeah. I didn't realize they don't come to town.
I think they go to Arkansas later this month, or later in May, I believe, but then they don't come here until like the fall. It's like the entire summer goes by, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just want to watch Caglione play.
I can't imagine that Caglione will be on the Naturals.
Caglione might be in the bigs by September.
Well, he hit another 460
foot bomb yesterday. So he's hit 2 home runs in Double A. Both of them have been over 110 miles an hour off the bat, and both of them have gone over 460 feet.
Do you think, on a quick side note, and we'll get into the Royals in our next segment, but do you think that Caglione can come in and make a major impact with the Royals right this second?
I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, you showed you in spring training. I mean, he was hitting major league pitching significantly, well. And so I think his bat would be good enough. The question, I think the biggest thing is of why we may see a delay in getting him is that he only plays first base and pitches. Yeah. So you're going to jump Vinny, or you're going to jump, Salvi in the DH spot, or whatever that may be. It's going to be really interesting to see what they have to do. So he may be a guy, Salvi's not going to catch 162 games. Salvi's going to have to DH, and Salvi's going to have to play first. And Salvi's a bat that you want to have in your lineup every single day. So they're going to have to jump some guys, and some guys are going to lose some at bats. But I definitely think as a September call-up, whenever you get the 40 up there, I think you would see.
There's significant upside with Jack Caglione, and it'll be interesting to see how long the Royals can keep him in the minors. Let's talk about the Royals in our next segment, winning 2 in a row against the Twins, 3 in a row overall. We'll talk about that next. Sports Daily just getting going here on KFH.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
On KFH.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily here on KFH. Tommy Castor and TJ Cleland with you on this Wednesday morning. Our thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee, keeping us fueled up, keeping us hydrated, keeping us caffeinated here on this Wednesday morning. TJ, you and I were just talking a little bit ago. I'm tired this morning. I used to love, like, obviously went out to the Windsurge game last night. Used to love going to baseball games, kicking my feet up, having a beer, having a brat, eating some peanuts, relaxing. I took my 2 kids last night, so it was not relaxing. It was fun to watch baseball, but it was not a relaxing night.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely are at the points of our lives where we have different experiences watching baseball games.
We do.
Probably different experiences doing everything, basically. But it was a lot of fun last night, and it was a late night. Working. You probably got to bed same time I did after working a night of news, basically. So 3rd day in a row waking up, it hit me like a truck this morning. And I was laying in bed a little too long, and Gabby walked over and said, "You did this to yourself."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, I'll get up and go to work, I guess."
Totally. Did you get to try any of the new concession items at the ballpark last night?
I got a plate of the buffalo chicken fries. So it was like French fries with buffalo sauce and chipotle ranch and like chicken chunks covered in buffalo sauce in there. And it was pretty good. It was a lot of food. I can't lie.
I know that they really worked hard on expanding that menu out at Equity Bank Park. So, definitely if you've got an opportunity to get out there and enjoy a ball game, and the concessions are affordable, everything is affordable out there, which is outstanding. And they've got a homestand that runs through the weekend. Weather should be really nice for the most part between now and the finale on Sunday. Let's talk about the Royals. They played the Windsurge parent team, the Twins, last night, the second game of the 4-game set at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals looked good. Once again, Cole Reagans pitched his best outing of the season so far, went a full 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 11 strikeouts in those 6 innings. And I think probably the biggest takeaway that I've got from this game last night, TJ, is the fact that they were able to win 2-1 with using a back-end bullpen of Zerpa, Schreiber, and Daniel Lynch.
I think the biggest thing is that they were able to win a baseball game with 3 hits on the day. Like, that is an unreal baseball game, and able to do that. And just the fact that they scratched that runoff in that 8th inning, it was incredible. So a really fun game. It was a pitcher's duel like we kind of all expected it to be. So for it to be 1-1 bottom of the 8th and pretty much prime for extra innings after a Bobby Witt rollover that eventually actually turned into a run. Awesome game, but you got to feel for Cole Reagans. The dude just can't get a win under his belt because of all these no decisions.
What I do like, though, is that the arrow is pointed upward with Reagans. He's gotten progressively better each start, and this is his 3rd start in the season. It's the 3rd time through the rotation for the Royals, and Reagans he's had 3 no decisions, so it's not like he's getting blown up out there. But opening day, as we talked about multiple times, wasn't vintage Cole Reagans. It was okay, but it wasn't great. His second outing last week was better, and then I felt like last night really was vintage Cole Reagans.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can get a guy to get you 11 strikeouts against a Minnesota Twins lineup that's pretty good, near the top of the American League Central every single year, huge day for him. I don't know what's his career high. That's got to be his career high, I imagine, 11 strikeouts. Awesome stuff from him, and that's the kind of guy that you're going to want down the stretch of the season, that you can go out and have a chance at a win every single time he's on the mound, and I think that they have that in him.
Yeah, I think the most concerning thing, if you're the Twins, is how bad is that Pablo Lopez injury? He went 4 2/3 and was pitching pretty well, before he got injured and had to leave the game. So, I think that obviously for the Twins, who expect to be a competitive team in the AL Central, they've lost 3 in a row, and they're 3-8 now on the season. And the Royals have flipped the script on them. I mean, these 2 teams were tied entering, I think Sunday's game, I believe, the finale of both of their series before they matched up against each other starting on Monday. And now, just like that, the Royals have a 3-game lead.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and you really can't state. I said last night on the news is that it was April 8th yesterday, but you can kind of feel the magnitude of how tight the Central may be and how big of a week this is for the Royals. If they can go out and get a majority of these 7 games they'll have between the Twins and the Guardians this week. So I don't want to, I don't like to be in the business of hyperbole, but it's a huge game in April, and to be able to win a game against their ace, it's huge.
It absolutely is, and especially when you're, trying to keep pace with Detroit, who is one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, winning 5 in a row. It's like as Kansas City continues to win, Detroit is winning as well. It reminds me a little bit, and I know it's extremely early in the season, but it reminds me a little bit of that stretch of baseball last season when the Royals were winning, and it seemed like every time they won a game, the Guardians won a game too, and they could never gain any ground on Cleveland. So, it's extremely early. These, 3 wins in a row get Kansas City up over 500 again, which is extremely important. And they're a game back from the Tigers right now. But I think you're spot on when you talk about how competitive this division ultimately is going to be outside of the White Sox. I mean, the Chicago showing again that they're going to be Chicago this year. But Minnesota, I mean, even though they've lost 3 in a row, there's a tremendous amount of talent, on this team. And, you've got Joe Ryan on the bump tonight for the Twins. So, I mean, they can easily turn it around. And then don't forget about Cleveland at all.
I don't know what you're talking about with the White Sox. They've got 2 wins so far. That might be like 10% of their wins that they had a year ago.
Yeah, they lost 6 in a row.
And we're only 2 weeks in, so they're back. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an awesome series. And it always is between the Twins and the Royals as well. So another huge one tonight. They've got arms and the Royals have got arms. So it's kind of appointment TV right now to watch this team, for me at least. And last night, I don't know if you actually saw. Did you see the Bobby Witt Jr. play last night?
I did, yeah.
That was one of the craziest Bobby Witt plays that we've seen since he's been a Royal. The fact of turning a rollover into the pitcher that turned into an error, into a triple that won the game the very next pitch. So it's the classic. Have you seen the memes about Vinny Pasquantino, about the RBI man? Absolutely doesn't get a hit unless there's a guy on base. And it was like, give me RISP or I retire or something like that. I love that.
That's, honestly, though, that I think in all seriousness, that had been a struggle for the Royals in general leading into this series where, they really weren't able to be consistent with runners in scoring position. And I think they've done that at a better clip, at least in this series. You can't leave runners stranded. I think it was one of the games, it might have been Saturday's game against the Orioles when I believe they left like 9 runners on base in that game, and 5 of them were in scoring position. You've got to, when the table is set for you, I don't care if you're Bobby Witt Jr. or if you're all the way down at the very bottom of the lineup, you've got to produce and bring those runs in.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think that the Royals do really well, honestly. They're not going to, and they play to their identity. They're not a team of power hitters because they play in Kauffman Stadium, and they know that. It's not the Yankees that they can roll out 1 through 9 guys that can go yard in the small park out there. But they're really good at it. I think you think about a guy like, Michael Massey, Michael Garcia, especially Kyle Isbell did it the other day. So they're a capable team of putting the ball in play. It's not quite to the level that it was in the 2014, 2015 teams where they were small ball on their way around everybody. But, last night shows you can get 3 hits and win a baseball game. That means that you're able to capitalize whenever you can capitalize.
I do want to go back to the point that I made at the very beginning of this segment, talking about the game last night. The fact that the Royals were able to hold the Twins at bay after Cole Reagans exited the game. Angel Zerpa did not have a good start to this season. He pitched well last night. John Schreiber, really haven't seen much of him at all so far this season. He had a good outing. And then, of course, Daniel Lynch has been, out of those 3, at least the most consistent. And, looking at the box score after the game, if you would have told me that even if Reagans had gone 6 innings and 11 strikeouts, if you had told me that the bullpen would have consisted of those 3 guys, I probably would have told you the Royals would have lost the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody keeps talking about the 3-headed monster in the back of the Royals bullpen. They weren't talking about Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez.
Right. They didn't use any of those guys.
They were talking about Zerpa, Schreiber, and Daniel Lynch. Look for those guys coming out of your pen. Yeah, I mean, that's another huge part of it. They didn't have to use their 3 guys that are kind of their lockdown guys and able to get the win. And the better part of that is that, you play baseball every day. You got a fresh closer coming into tonight. You got a fresh setup guy coming into tonight. And so, fresh arms is the name of the game. And to not have to use 3 of your best and be able to pull out a win like that, it's really big. And a really big inning from, Daniel Lynch, or very big third of an inning. I think he threw like 3 pitches. Yeah. So, but able for those guys to be able to slam the door in a 1-run game against, I think it was like their 4, 5, 6. So, I mean, it was against the heart of the order, and they were able to get the job done.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's not like Zerpa and Schreiber were lights out amazing last night. Zerpa had a hit in his inning pitched, and then Schreiber gave up 2 hits in his inning and 2/3. But I think out of the 3, considering that we haven't seen much of Schreiber so far this season, the fact that Quatrero trusted him to go nearly 2 innings in relief, I think is important. Now, of course, the Twins had a little bit of a rally in the 9th inning, trying to, come back and everything, and he had to go to Daniel Lynch to at least close out the game. But I do think that that's important as the Royals are trying to develop other guys in that bullpen. Absolutely. Because, you look at usage, and while the back 3, the big 3 in that bullpen in Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez have been lights out awesome. They've been as advertised this year. You can't go to them every single game. You're going to have to develop and find other pitchers to be able to come and get you out of jams. And, knowing that those guys were able to produce tonight does give me a little bit more confidence that Quatrero can go to them in the future.
Yeah, that's the thing about the three-headed monster. When you think about, Harvey, Ursic, and Estevez, those three guys are going to be pitching when you have a lead. Like, those are your hold guys. Those are your save guys. If it's any other situation, if you're down a run, if you're tied up, you don't want to waste these guys if you're going to need them in late situations. So that's what's so big about Angel Zerpa and John Schreiber and Daniel Lynch, is that those are the guys you're going to go to if you take your starter out early in the fourth inning or the fifth inning, and it's you're down a run, you're down 2 runs, and you still want to have a fighting chance in this game. Those are guys that you need to, pitch in pretty high leverage situations. And that's what, every reliever is, obviously, but those are guys that, are going to help you win those, 50-50 games.
You know what? I don't think that it's overstating it. Tell me if you think I'm on point here or way out of line. I mean, I felt like leading into this outing for Zerpa, he was basically unplayable. I mean, I think his outings prior to what we saw last night, every time he came out, I'm like, man, this is not the Zerpa that we saw a year ago. And I guess credit to Matt Quatrero in continuing to go back to it, because eventually it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, we cannot continue to put him out and have him give up runs and give up hits and all of that. And he, to his credit, pitched well last night. And again, Matt Quatrero, I think, recognizes we have to get him going. And the only way to get him going is to continue to trot him out there.
Yeah, he pitched in 3 prior situations to today. I have it pulled up. The first game, he gave up an earned run in 1 inning and blew a save. Next one,
it was that first pitch home run on opening day to the Guardians.
So the next one against the Brewers, 1 earned run, 1 inning pitch, 2 hits. Then came out against the Brewers for a third of an inning and walked a guy in his third of an inning. So for last night, for him to come up and go 1, 2, 3, or give up a hit, but to get it out of that jam, keep him going, it's really big. So he was a big arm last year. You talked about how big he was during that playoff stretch of being the guy that can help you get to your other guys. So if you can get him going, it'll be a really big football.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go back to 2024, and when that bullpen was much maligned, it was before the Royals went out and got Ursig, and of course they were able to utilize Hunter Harvey briefly before, or a little bit at least during that stretch before he got injured. It was Angel Zerpa. I mean, he was kind of that glue guy in the bullpen for Kansas City. His ERA was under 4 last year in 60 games pitched. Through 53 innings, and the whip was, I think, a little bit higher than what you would like to see. But he, while he was allowing traffic, ultimately he was relatively effective in a Royals bullpen that was not great last year, as we all know. It's been a far cry from that so far this year. Even with the outing last night, even with the scoreless inning that he pitched, his ERA is right around 5, and his whip is over 2. So even with that outing last night, I mean, that just tells you how bad the first 3 outings were for Angel Zerpa. But I do feel a little bit more comfortable now if the Royals have to go to a guy like him in the bullpen, that he's, maybe he's trending upward. Maybe he has, been able to get those demons out of his head, for the first 3 outings that he had that were absolutely terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's also, it's April. That's something that we talk about, that, there's still 150 games left on the schedule and everything like that. And some of the time, as we saw with some guys last year, some guys just have to get acclimated. Some guys, when you're in those high leverage situations and you're coming in for an inning and everything like that, we've seen him multiple times this season, and he's only pitched 4 total innings. So that's the weird thing about those roles. They don't have time, like sometimes starting pitchers do, to kind of feel their way into a groove. So the more he goes, the better I think you'll get. And so, like we said, he picked it up last night, and I think if he can keep going forward with that, as well as everybody on this roster, you just talk about being, I mean, when was opening day? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Are we officially 2 weeks, I think?
Almost 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, to lose your first 2 series and to win 3 in a row 2 weeks later, it shows me that they're going to start picking everything up, I believe. And hopefully you can get hot right now, and it'll pay dividends down the stretch.
I think the other thing that we haven't really talked much about, I know you mentioned it a few minutes ago, but Bobby Witt Jr., even when he is not slugging like the guy that we expect him to, he can still impact the game in a positive way. I mean, how fast he ran down to first base. He did that, by the way, in one of the opening games against the Guardians, when he was able to beat out a grounder. And then I think that lead directly to Vinny Pasquantino's home run.
Yeah, I think so, actually.
And so like him able to impact the game in those ways outside of the traditional, like, oh yeah, like Bobby Witt Jr. is going to go out and blast a bunch of home runs. I think that's extremely important because I think we could all say, and I'm sure he would probably say this about himself, he has not hit the ball up to his standards through the first 11 games, but still being able to impact the game in positive ways. I mean, it shows how multifaceted Bobby Witt Jr. is as a complete player.
Yeah, and how refreshing is this? I'll ask you, Tommy, is that the Royals have a legit superstar, like one of the absolute superstars in the game of baseball, and your superstar is sprinting down the line at first base after a roll over to the pitcher. It turns into that, and he always is. He'll hit a ball in the gap, and I mean he's going to turn everything into a triple. He's going to try to. So to have a guy, I mean that's just so special to have a guy that has that many tools. And you talk about the 5-tool player. That's Bobby Witt Jr. that can slug balls into the gaps and turn them into triples. So to have that on your team, and also a power bat whenever that wakes up, and the defense and the speed to be able to steal bases, he's got everything that you want in a player. And so he's a huge part of the Royals. And I think that if it wasn't apparent last year, it's going to become even more apparent that he's going to be one of the best players in the game.
It goes back to what you had mentioned a few minutes ago about Vinny Pasquantino being the RBI guy. I don't know if there is another player in baseball that has the kind of benefit that Vinny Pasquantino does, hitting behind Bobby Witt Jr. in the lineup, because that's what Witt does. He just gets on base, and then you've got Pasquantino who can drive him in, and then if he doesn't, then Salvi's right behind him. I think that again, it shows that even when Bobby Witt Jr. is not hitting the ball out of the ballpark, he's at least able to get on base. He's able to do things with his speed, with all of the different skill sets that he has, to be able to impact the game in a positive way for Kansas City. And he's been a major factor, of course, as to why the Royals are currently on a 3-game winning streak. They continue their 4-game series tonight against the Twins at Kauffman Stadium. It's a matchup of veterans, TJ. Seth Lugo on the bump, Joe Ryan for the Twins, both pitching tonight. So, you're going to have veteran versus veteran.
Absolutely. I love watching a Seth Lugo game. He's the classic junkie that'll throw everything at you. He's got the kitchen sink of the 12 pitches or whatever he has in his arsenal. So going to be another awesome game tonight. It's just fun to watch this team right now. Is the only thing that I can really say is that it's awesome to look forward to turning on baseball and watching games that matter for the Kansas City Royals.
It was just a couple days ago that we were talking about a 3-5 Royals team, and they've rattled off 3 wins in a row, and all of a sudden they're above 500. They're a game back of the Tigers here early in the season, and they look to keep that streak alive and make it 4 in a row tonight from Kauffman Stadium. We'll have all the action with the Royals Radio Network, Denny Matthews and Jake Eisenberg, the entire Royals Radio Network crew right here on KFH. The first pitch is scheduled for 6:40 again tonight at Kauffman Stadium. Tomorrow is a day game. We'll have coverage of both of those games, every single Royals game, right here on KFH, as the Royals look to continue that streak against the Twins tonight. And don't go away. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, let's get into the Masters a little bit. We're a day away from the opening round of the Masters. I want to talk about it. We're going to do that on the other side of the break. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, Sports Daily, coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
On KFH.
Well, we are really excited for Open Streets ICT this weekend on Sunday. WSU in the Shocker neighborhood. It's set from noon until 4. This free community event will transform nearly 2 miles of 17th Street from Oliver to Volusia into a lively hub for walking, biking, running, and skating. Attendees can enjoy local food trucks, live music, performances, and various vendors along the route. The event promotes healthy living and community engagement. It's always a great event. I know they do several of them throughout the city every single year. This is the very first Open Streets ICT of 2025, again, near Wichita State and the Shocker neighborhood this Sunday from noon until 4. Odyssey, our entire station, our network of stations will be out there live on Sunday. I hope you can join us. Hope you can get out and enjoy all the fun at Open Streets ICT. Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Daily on this Wednesday. Tommy Castor and TJ Cleland. Max Power producing the program. The KFH hotline is open at 869-1240. TJ, let's shift gears to the best time of year, Masters Week. We're underway. I mean, tomorrow for sure is when everything gets going. Today is the par 3 contest. And then we get into the granddaddy of them all, the best golf tournament, in my opinion at least, of the entire season. We have tee times that are out now, and there are some juggernaut tee times as we look to tomorrow.
Tommy, I got to ask you this question before we start going. I am wondering, because I haven't been a huge golf guy my entire life. I've gotten really big into it in the last probably 4 or 5 years. What's the best way to watch the Masters? Because, I know that now they have the ESPN Plus where you can do groups. They don't kick off their coverage until in the afternoon when guys are finishing holes. What's your go-to? Are you camped out at 8 a.m. as soon as it starts?
Absolutely, 100%. And, the good thing, credit to Augusta National and the Masters, because they have expanded their coverage in the last few years. It used to be, back when Max was a pup, I'm sure, they only showed the last few holes on the last day on TV. That was the only way you could watch even a little bit of the Masters. Now you can basically watch as much of it as you want to, and they get things going early on ESPN Plus and the Masters app. You can download and watch featured coverage and that sort of thing. So it makes it a lot more accessible. And I believe, and I think it's on ESPN Plus, I believe that you can do the multi-view, have all the different holes and groups and that sort of thing, like Amen Corner. I think you can just watch Amen Corner if you want. So there's a lot of different ways to consume it, which is great.
I know that's the one thing, is that it's different than every other sport because you can just decide how you want to take it in. If you want to just follow Phil Mickelson's group, you can just follow Phil Mickelson's group on TV. You can sit at one hole. I think they do hole pairings. You can watch 14, 15, and 16 on one of the ESPN Pluses. So it's a crapshoot every year. And I really always just sit down and I'm like, how am I supposed to watch this? How do I do this? I need it spoon-fed to me, like when it's on the national networks, and they'll say, okay, you need to watch this shot. And it's like, wow, that was nice. So,
this is how much of a golf, or at least a Masters sicko I am. I had somebody reach out to me, a buddy of mine, and ask me if I wanted to play golf on Friday afternoon. It's supposed to be really nice. Like, hey, I've got a tee time. Do you want to play golf Friday afternoon? I was like, no, I'm going to be watching the Masters. And he was like, you can watch it or listen to it on the course. I'm like, I know, but I just want to I want to watch it. I don't want to be distracted with my own golf game. I just want to sit back and I want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to, much to the dismay of my fiance, I'll definitely try to take in the most that I ever have. So Thursday morning, I'll lock it. I guess tomorrow morning, I'll lock it in and see what I can figure out.
Let's talk about the pairings and the tee times a little bit, which came out yesterday. And like I mentioned a moment ago, there are some pretty stacked matchups that are going to be taking place. You look at the matchup of Scotty Scheffler and Justin Thomas. They have an amateur with them, and Jose Luis Ballester is playing in that group as well. But Scheffler and Thomas, a lot of eyes are going to be on that pairing. Jordan Spieth, who is a former Masters champion about 10 years ago, with Tom Kim and Tyrrell Hatton. John Rahm, Wyndham Clark, and Tommy Fleetwood. That's going to be awesome. A heavyweight matchup for sure. Adam Scott, Xander Schauffele, Victor Hovland. There are some really, really premier matchups in the first couple of rounds. Are there any that you're looking at that you're most excited about?
Yeah, you named a bunch of them right there. I know they have Rory with Ludwig and Akshay all in one tee time will be an awesome one. So there's a couple of these where you can go 3 deep. It's pretty awesome. You look at you can even go Phil Mickelson and Jason Day are in the same tee time if you want to be a real old time golf sicko there. I'm pumped to watch some of these.
I love the matchup with Hideki Matsuyama, Bryson DeChambeau, and Shane Lowry. I think that's huge. You're talking about 3 major champions all together. And of course, Matsuyama is a Masters champion. I think it was in 2021 or 2022 when Matsuyama won. Bryson is a major champion, winning the U.S. Open. Shane Lowry has won the Open Championship. So you've got 3 major champions all together in one. And I mentioned it yesterday. If I'm not picking Scotty Scheffler to win and repeat, my pick is Bryson DeChambeau. He's coming off of a major win. The odds are pretty good. I think he's 20-1 to win the overall championship. And I think now that he has sort of reined his game in, and it's not just about trying to gouge golf courses left and right. I think he's got as good of an opportunity as any to actually get a green jacket.
Yeah, I really like him as well, especially with the odds that they're giving the guy that just won the U.S. Open this past summer. So, and he obviously just kind of the talk of golf right now a little bit too, with everything that he's been doing, with the YouTube and everything, becoming such a more likable golfer as you were talking about. So I expect a lot of people to kind of be on Bryson. He'll definitely be a fan favorite as he tries to win his first one. So, but yeah, really good odds on a guy that just won a U.S. Open. So that's one that I'm looking at. You look at John Rahm at 1,300 is a guy that won it just a couple of years ago. Ludwig Oberg at 20-1 is another name that I think as well. So definitely going to try to get a couple of these guys, and I'll get my weird ones to crack the top 10 or something like that. My weird ones to make the cut. Phil Mickelson to make the cut is going to be the stretch. It was always Tiger to make the cut. This year it's Phil Mickelson to make the cut.
You know what? I don't even know much about what Phil Mickelson has done lately. Ever since he went to LIV, I couldn't tell you if his game is on point or not. I have no clue. So that's a crapshoot for me for sure. Is there anybody, speaking of LIV and Bryson DeChambeau, is there anybody that has had more of a redemption tour than Bryson DeChambeau?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because he was like almost universally despised. I don't know anybody that enjoyed watching him play, enjoyed his antics or anything like that. And with the YouTube golf and going out there and playing with guys like John Daly and even Donald Trump, like hitting a ball over his house to get a hole in one. Like, is there anybody that's become more of a fan favorite than Bryson DeChambeau?
Yeah, it's the most I've ever seen in probably any sport of somebody that's gone from so hated to so loved. It probably has some correlation to do with the stupid hats that he used to wear. Stopped wearing those. Yeah. So I think when he made the switch to the normal hat, probably people started liking him a bit more.
It's as simple as that. You're just going to wear a better hat.
I think it was a little bit of that. But yeah, I think he cooled it off and just kind of became the people's golfer a little bit. And that's just the guy that you want to root for is the guy that's going out to Mack Park and playing around a golf, to see a guy out there kind of having fun, swing as hard as you can, just trying to hit a ball as hard as you can. That's what we do when we go to Mac, so it's easy to root for.
Some of my favorite Bryson DeChambeau videos are the ones where, I don't know if you've seen them, where he'll take like a Walmart set of golf clubs out to a golf course and just see if he can play and how he'll do. And I mean, he has broken golf clubs in half because he swings so dang hard. And they're like regular clubs off the shelf at a Walmart that you can go and buy.
Yeah, my favorite is whenever he uses the junior sets.
Yeah.
And so he has the driver that doesn't even go to his knee, and he'll still find a way to drive a ball 275. That's unbelievable. How did he do that?
I saw somebody talking about that. And there are always these conversations leading up to the Masters. But I saw somebody talking about this on social media the other day. And it posed a really interesting question. If you played in the Masters, knowing your golf game, you played in the Masters and you got to, on every single hole, place your ball on the green, and that's where you started, and everybody else had to hit it from the tee, could you win the Masters?
I mean, I'm probably good for an average of like 2.5 putts per green. So, I mean, you're getting 2s and 3s on.
I don't know. Augusta National greens, though,
are
diabolical.
That's true. I might be more like a 3 to 4, I guess, probably.
I mean, I wouldn't, and I don't know. I've never put it on those greens. I would imagine that you're talking about probably some holes that you'll 5 or 6 putt. You might put it totally off the green.
There could be
right into a bunker.
I like my odds. I can't lie. I think I like my odds. You just got to take the conservative route. I think once you get up there, you can't try to make the putts. I think you just got to try to put it in the vicinity, and you'd have a chance. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about those guys. I mean, there's going to be guys that are making an average of probably 3.5 per hole. So
sure. Is that a strength of your game? Are you a good putter?
I am a terrible putter.
Well, so you're talking. No, I could probably average 2.5.
I mean, I could 2-putt some of them. I'd probably average like 2.8, but I'm going to 3-putt my fair share.
Well, the caveat to that is that it's not just that your ball ends up on the green. You have to put your ball the farthest spot away from the hole on every green.
There will be some nasty ones, especially you think about the pin placements that they have on some of these gross holes. Yeah. So there'd probably be some that I'd smoke it over the green into the water or something like that. So
I think there would probably be a few that you would probably putt it totally off the green, right into the bunker. Because if you're going to ask me if I could, I don't think I would win. I honestly, I think I would probably 4 or 5 putt the majority of those greens. And I feel like I'm actually a decent putter. Like that's kind of one of the strengths of my game. I don't think I'd get it done at all.
I think I would honestly, this is what would probably happen. I think I'd be fine through about 12 holes and have a lead at the turn and everything. And then I just feel the absolute pressure of Scotty Scheffler going low, breathing down my neck, and just start crapping my pants basically and just start 5-putting. So knowing my game and the amount of pressure that whenever I play against my buddies, if I had Scotty Scheffler just throwing darts at flagpoles, I don't know.
I mentioned that, I like the Bryson DeChambeau bet. I kind of like Xander Schauffele. He's won a couple majors in the last calendar year, and his odds are about the same as Bryson DeChambeau's. And that's all well and good. But, man, I think we talked about it briefly yesterday. A day out from the start of the Masters, I don't know how you can not bet Scotty Scheffler just because of the way that he is. And I know his odds aren't super juicy, but you're still getting 4-1 for him to win a golf tournament. He's already won twice, and the dude just wins on tour.
Yeah, that's always the insurance bet whenever you're betting a golf tournament, whatever a high major golf tournament is. You pick your weird guys, you throw a couple dollars at your Brysons, at your Xanders, everything like that, and then you just hedge that by putting the same amount on Scotty. And it's plus 400. Like, that's the thing, is your hedge is plus 400. So that's kind of the fun part about golf.
It is fun. And I got to get my bets in now because I'm going to be out of town and not going to be able to. I don't think you can bet in Georgia. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to do that probably when I'm gone. You got to get your bets in too because you'll be headed out to Hawaii.
Yeah, we already checked. That was one of the questions Gabby had. She said, "Can we sports bet in Hawaii?" And I was like, "I'm going to guess you probably can't." So we can't.
Think you can.
Yeah, we can't. So
there's nothing worse than when you are like heading out of town. You go to a different state and you're like, "God, okay, I'm going to put a bet in," and then you're like, "Crap."
Yep.
I can't bet in the States.
We always, every time we go to Texas, it's always get your bets in before you get to Ark City because you can't do it in Oklahoma or Texas. And then obviously with the Missouri and everything, until they get it legalized, it was always you're going to cover a Chiefs game. You got to pull over the side of the road before you cross the river, put your stuff in, and then go to the game. So you got to have your game plan set. So we'll be sure to get everything in ahead of time, and so we can, I guess, sit on a beach when we get there and watch the Masters finish up.
They'll be on like 7 a.m.
It will, yeah. Nice. It'll be on early. Like you'll enjoy
I'm trying to do that math in my head. I think that we should be able to be there for the entire thing.
You'll enjoy a nice Mai Tai on the beach while you're watching the Masters.
That'd be nice. So
I love that. If you want to get your bets in again, Scotty Scheffler is the odds-on favorite right now. I just saw, according to ESPN Bet, by the way, they updated their odds. Just saw it on the TV screen that Scotty is plus 475. So you get a little bit better odds. If you take that bet with the favorite, Scotty Scheffler, the Masters keep going tomorrow. The par 3 contest is today. It's one of my favorite weekends of the entire year. That's going to wrap up hour number 1 here on Sports Daily. Don't forget, hour 2, Shreyas Laddha going to be joining us a little bit later on in the program. We're going to kick things off. Coming up for you next, Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, and Sports Daily. Coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 of Sports Daily on this Hump Day Wednesday. Tommy Kester, TJ Cleveland in for Jacob Albrock today. Max Power producing the program. The KFH hotline is open at 869-1240. Coming up a little bit later on in this hour, our KU insider, Shreyas Laddha, will be joining us. You, of course, can leave your video comments on our video stream on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, and also on the 12 News Connected app is where we are streaming the program live on video, so you can do that, and we'll get to those comments as the show goes on. TJ, we're going to get more into KU a little bit later on this hour with Shreyas Laddha, but we were talking during the break about how the final top 25 poll came out in college basketball. KU unranked, which is not overly surprising, I think, with the way that the Jayhawks ended the season. But just, I think it puts a bow on a very disappointing year for Kansas.
Yeah, the biggest question that I have kind of just based on that is just where they go going forward from this. You know, obviously, it's almost a complete reload. Getting Flory Bidunga helps a lot, but the state of Kansas basketball, it's just so much different than what it was 5 or 6 years ago, because, you know, they may have to be a transfer portal school. So I just kind of wanted to have the conversation of they used to be what Houston is now, where they can keep a guy in the program for 4 years, like Frank Mason and guys like that. Now you see KU with no players on their roster returning. Are they going to be able to sustain a model where they keep guys for 3 or 4 years? Or are they going to have to be a school that goes and reloads and transports every year?
Well, I mean, I think at least in the short term, they're going to have to be a reloading team. I mean, because even with the addition of Darren Peterson, I mean, he doesn't project out to be a long-term guy in Bill Self's program. I mean, he's probably as much of a one and done as the Jayhawks have ever had, right? So, I would imagine at least in the short term, they're clearly going to have to reload this coming season. And I would think that they're going to need to build the team around Darren Peterson and Flory Bidunga, obviously. But then, more likely than not, both of those guys will probably be gone after next season. So you're going to have to reload again. So to me, I don't know what the long-term future holds for Kansas, but this might be the start of a new norm where they do have to reload every single year.
Yeah, the other part of this is with all the revenue sharing that we talked about that will likely come down in the next week or so. It's more likely than not going to put like a salary cap on teams. Does that help KU or does that hurt KU? Because the idea of this is that it's going to limit the schools that can go pay $10 million on their basketball roster. They're going to have a number to keep it within. KU is a team that's willing to spend a ton of NIL money, and we've seen that. But now, if it's more of a level playing field across Power 5, does that help KU? Because it's back to the way that recruiting kind of used to be.
Well, I mean, is it really though? Because I mean, those things were happening behind the scenes anyway, right? So even when you would think that the playing field is level, it really wasn't, because you had teams that were under the table that were paying more, and that were doing things that were, and KU was one of them for sure, that they were doing things behind the scenes that were not permissible by NCAA rules. So I don't know if it really does change it all that much, because even if there is a salary cap, one thing that these programs, the Blue Bloods, the haves versus the have-nots, one thing that they all have in common is they're really, really good at finding ways around the rules. Yep. And so you can set a salary cap all you want. If it's, $5 million, and I don't know what it will be, but if it's $5 million and that's the cap for the Power 5 schools, you better believe that there will be programs that have more resources than that will find ways to work around that. I don't know how, I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's back under the table with double bags full of cash. I have no clue what that means. Yeah. But teams are going to find ways to skirt the rules.
Yeah, you even think about a guy, a Darren Peterson or something like that, who now is a NIL-sponsored athlete in high school. He's already sponsored by Adidas before he even stepped foot on a college court. You think that could be something to wear an Adidas school, which was kind of the big thing whenever the first scandal came out. An Adidas school could get this kid who's sponsored by Adidas and get a pay cut on Darren Peterson because he's an Adidas player, with the promise that Adidas will keep sponsoring him whenever he gets to the NBA and pay those checks as well. So, yeah, there's going to be ways around it. It's going to be really interesting. But to see that KU not only not in the top 25, people are coming out with their new top 25s for next year. Some guys have them on rank. Some guys have them at like the 15 line or something like that. Just kind of what's your outlook? Are you back optimistic for next year?
I think it depends on what the word optimistic means. I mean, do I think that with Darren Peterson and Flory Bidunga that they're a national championship contender? I'm not ready to say that at this point. I need to see other guys in that program. And I know that, they went out and they got somebody, right? Like there's another portal edition that they got.
They got the Illinois.
The Illinois guy, that's right. And he's a wing, I believe. Mm-hmm. Brought him in. So, I mean, like that helps. You've got El Marco Jackson, coming back and that's good. But I'm not ready yet to say like, okay, I feel like these guys are back in contention. But I feel a whole heck of a lot better about the program than I did before this weekend when you're like, man, they've got Darren Peterson and that's it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, this is something that we'll ask Shreyas for sure, is that, do you expect them? We've seen them go out and basically just throw money at the top prospect in the transfer class every single year. They're kind of just building around Flory and Darren with role players, basically, that they can go get. So I don't know. Do you think that they're going to go out and make a splash and try to get another star player, or are they kind of just build around Darren Peterson and say, we don't need 5 stars on a roster because then you end up with AJ Storr coming off your bench? Do you expect them to go make a big splash?
Yeah, because I think they have the resources to do that sort of thing. I think also on top of it is that, it depends on how they want to utilize Darren Peterson. I mean, because he's a ball handler, but he's also a scorer. Mm-hmm. So, and I think you need to utilize him, to get you offense, to bring you points, right? To be that elite scorer, because he can do that sort of thing. But in his high school career, he also was the facilitator. And I don't know if that's the best way to utilize him, where, he's got the ball in his hands at all times, bringing it up the court and then creating the offense on his own. Or if you're going to be better served, having another guy be your point guard, be your facilitator, and then let Peterson play off ball. And I feel like, and maybe you follow this more closely than I have we seen Darren Peterson in his high school career play off ball? Or has he primarily been the main guy with the basketball at all times?
No, it sounds like basically what I've seen. He's the point guard for that team, but he does everything off the dribble. Like he's a scorer off the dribble, as you're talking about. So it's going to be interesting to see how you want to build a roster about that. Obviously, everybody's going to say we need shooters. So does every other team in the country wants a shooter. So that's the thing about it's so simple. We just need to go get some shooters. Yeah, everybody wants a shooter, dude. Those are a freaking hot commodity. So yeah, really interesting. I love this transfer portal cycle because right now, this is like free agency times 100. Like you have a week to build a roster. So I think that's what's so interesting about all this stuff. And that kind of leads into Wichita State. Just kind of wondering your thoughts on, they have one player on their team. Right. Like they have 3 returners that combined for 20 points, 30 points from last year.
Isn't it like 98.6%?
Yeah, I think I did the math.
Has to be replaced.
They return like 1.2% basically.
Yeah, so. There are notable players that are still in the portal, and it's some guys that have already made their decisions. I think about, a couple days ago, all of the attention, at least that I was looking at, was with Nigel Pack. Like, what was Nigel Pack going to do? And he was looking at Kansas. He was looking even at coming back to Kansas State. He ends up at Oklahoma, which I don't know why you end up at Oklahoma, other than just, I guess, maybe the Trae Young appeal, going there. I don't know. But, with Wichita State, they've got time. Like right now, it's April 9th, right? Mm-hmm. Paul Mills has time, but it's not unlimited.
Yep.
And so you've got to act, and you've got to act decisively right now. I know they've been in on a handful of players that they haven't ultimately gotten, and Karan Boyd has been really the only guy. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due. I really like the Karan Boyd signing. I really like the addition for him. I like what he brings defensively. I think that will fit well into Paul Mills' style and the way that the Shocker program wants to be. But you can't just trot him out there, right? Like you've got to have a full roster, and they seem to be fairly far away from that right now.
That's the thing everybody kept saying because it came like the day after they lost Corey Washington, I believe, when they got Karan Boyd, the week after they got Quincy Ballard. And every Shocker fan saying, wow, glad we could lose our 2 best players so we could get a guy that averaged, 9 points out of the SoCon and everything like that. And Karan Boyd is not going to be the best player on the court. If Karan Boyd is the best player on the team next year, then there may be a bit of an issue, and I'll put my hand up if I'm wrong about that. But they're going to go out and make a splash, as big of a splash as they can, I think. I think with right now, with all the talk that Kevin Saul is doing about raising this $1 million for this coming roster, and if the revenue sharing comes, the budget that they expect to have to be in the neighborhood of Sweet 16 teams and everything like that, they're going to start really heavily recruiting these guys, especially if that ruling comes down for this season, if they're able to do that. So I saw the other day they're in on a Cincinnati kickback. They're in on a guy from Northwestern State that averaged 17 points per game. It's my favorite pastime right now, in case you can't tell, to search on X, Wichita State transfer, to see who all they're in on. I have a list on my phone of everybody that they've reached out to. So I love this stuff. I love it so much.
Well, I want to continue on this conversation in our next segment, ahead of Shreyas Laddha joining us in the last segment of hour number 2, mainly because we didn't have a lot of time to talk about it yesterday on the show, but you did sit down with Kevin Saul on Monday, and I know that the story is up on 12 News for folks to be able to go and watch it. But you sat down with him, you talked to him about revenue sharing, the transfer portal, all of that, and some really interesting, I think, insight from Kevin Saul post the letter that he sent to the fan base late last week. So I want to continue this conversation after the break and get your insight on all of that. Real quick, I want to thank Preston Country Club for their support of the program. Get out there, give them a call, check out everything Crestview has to offer. Even if you're not a golfer, even if you want to go out there and play tennis or go to the pool this summer, go enjoy some great food, great activities, they've got it for you there at Crestview. Give them a call. We thank them for their support of the program. More college basketball talk on the other side. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, in Sports Daily, coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily here on KFH on this Wednesday. Tommy Castor and TJ Cleveland continuing our conversation on college hoops. Our KU insider, Shreyas Laddha, will join us in our next segment. But TJ, we didn't have a chance to talk about it yesterday. You were able to sit down with Kevin Saul, Wichita State athletic director, on Monday after he sent out his letter from the AD to the fan base with the need for $1 million more in NIL funding from the fan base in general. And I think that there were some really interesting points that he was able to expound on a little bit more in your conversation with him that didn't come out, at least in that letter.
Yeah, it's kind of a twofold thing of why they need $1 million, and it goes both. I guess a three-way thing, honestly. So the biggest part of it all is the fact that revenue sharing is coming. It's been preliminarily approved. That's not the right word. The final hearing was supposed to be Monday, but he says it should come in the next week or so, he believes. So that's what's driving everything in college basketball right now is that the NCAA is going to put down restrictions on the way that recruiting is done. Right now, based on what everything's coming out as, if you get an NIL deal over $600, you have to run it through a clearinghouse panel. So there's not going to be anything of, if you come here, Raising Cane's is going to pay $1 million. Right. So it's going to be a lot more of recruiting, and there's going to be probably salary caps, and it's going to be set on, if you're a Power 5, you get this. If you're a Group of 6, you get the Group of 5, you get this, that kind of thing. So and it's just going to be really, really interesting. And the biggest thing with that all is the fact that since that's coming, everybody wants to build their roster while they can. So the price of a roster is skyrocketing right now. He said, I asked him how much a starting point guard would cost right now. And he said everything on the court is going to cost 40% more than it did a year ago. So thinking about that, thinking about the fact that Coleman Hawkins made $2 million last year, like there's going to be guys making probably $3 million in college basketball, not at Wichita State, but it's some of those crazy blue bloods and everything like that. So if they want a chance to compete, that's the thing is that, they were in on Harlan Obioha, we talked about, and he was in, Texas was in on him. And Texas was probably going to pay him more to come be their 9th guy on the team, and the Shockers to be his best player. So I think that will eventually help the Shockers. And then the last part of it, of why they need $1 million, is basically that the revenue sharing is coming. And the way that will work is that you can take your NIL dollars that you raise from the fans as well as athletic department revenue. So now ticket sales, concession stand sales, merchandise sales, all of that money can be put into the revenue sharing fund as well. So it's not solely going to be based on you and our dollars paying these players. So he told me Wichita State is already investing heavily on how much money they want to put in as a university into that fund, as well as whatever they can get from the fans so that they can have a chance to compete. Because he said, right, this past season, a Sweet 16 team spent $4 million on their roster, and he wants to be in that neighborhood.
But that ticket sale money and the concession money, all that revenue is coming from the fans. So the fans are paying it on the front end, and the fans are paying it on the back end.
That's what I brought up to him, is that right now, I think it's better because right now you're paying for that as well, and your NIL money on top of that too. It's not only do we need you to come fill the stands, we need you to pay for the players too. So right now you can actually, once this happens, it'll actually help the team to go to the games. It'll actually help the team to buy the merchandise and everything like that. Same way you do as like a professional franchise. You buy a Chiefs jersey, the money's going to go towards the Chiefs budget. And it's in the pot. It'll pay.
I mean, don't you think that's a hard sell though to just the average fan? Like, okay, like what would you rather do? Would you rather write a check directly to NIL efforts at the university and it's not reciprocal at all, or you buy a ticket to the game, you go and you get a hot dog and a soda at the game, you go and buy a Shocker T-shirt at the merch store? And all of that money, not all of that money, but a portion of that money will go to benefit NIL.
I agree.
And then you're at least getting something in return. You get to go to the game, you get a hot dog and a soda, and you get a T-shirt. I feel like that's a value proposition that's going to be easier to get behind, as opposed to like, please just write us a check because we need to raise more money.
That's what I said. I think that that part of it is going to be the same as it was before NIL. Charles Koch writing a check to build an arena. Like, this has been a thing. Whenever you want to hire a coach, you raise that money whenever you're going after the big guy to pay out the buyout. You'll talk to your donors. So that's going to be a part of it. I don't think there will be as much of that whenever this happens. There won't be as much, quote unquote, begging from the fans. It'll be more so of buy season tickets, and that will help us. And I think that is what it will turn into, in my opinion. And I think that's going to be so much better for college basketball, because I'm in the same boat. If I'm between spending $1,000 on an NIL donation or $1,000 to get season tickets that will also help the team too, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, do that. I feel like there are in college athletics in general, not even just at Wichita State, but in college athletics in general, there are enough benefactors and boosters and donors and people that have the means that they can just write a check, and they know the way the game works, and they know that while they may get consideration for different things, there's no expectation. I mean, maybe for some of them there is, but at least out in the open, outwardly, no expectation of any kind of getting anything in return.
Yeah.
You might get naming rights on something, like you look at David Booth, at KU, getting his name on the stadium and the Hall of Fame, like all of that stuff. Charles Koch at the arena here locally. Like, there is that consideration for sure when you get up into that stratosphere of contributions. But at the same time, the average Joe Schmo, like you and me, like I read the whole, like, they need $1 million. And I'm like, okay, like that ain't coming from me. Like that, like I'll go and I'll buy tickets and I'll go to the concession stand and I'll do that sort of thing. It's going to be more likely that I can directly help them in that way if there's revenue sharing opportunities than it is for me writing a check, and I'm not going to be like my contribution to that $1 million is a drop in the bucket. And I know that there's probably a strategy in place where it's like, hey, look, if we can get X number of people to donate this amount of money, then we'll get to that $1 million. I think it's unlikely to do that. Like, I think it's unlikely that that's going to happen. You're going to have to go to the big dogs and just ask them again to write a check for the money that you need.
I brought this up to somebody. In the fact, if you are fundraising in the daylight, that means you're also fundraising in the shadows.
Sure.
And you're always fundraising in the shadows and talking to those donors. The fact, if you bring it to the average fan, that means like, hey,
it's not going well. I think that's what it means. Is if you need to bring it out into the daylight, then it means that it's not working well for you in the shadows.
I don't know.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be a thing. I think it's also the fact of, for Wichita State, I see it as the fact of, just being extra aggressive. Like, not only are we talking to these guys, like, we want you to help us out. So, I mean, as you just kind of said, that was something that, Kevin Saul talked about whenever we were talking about, we understand this is kind of taboo. Like, NIL is new and people don't like it. Like, everybody on Facebook and Twitter is going to complain about having to pay for this. And, obviously, it doesn't help whenever you ask for $1 million, the tariffs drop as well.
Right.
So kind of just bad timing.
Crashes, like all of that.
So, but he talked about it. He's like, we know people don't like this, but people also want Shocker basketball to be a winning program again. And you kind of can't have it both ways. You can't just complain and just want to not spend any money on a roster and just go to the Final Four again. That's not how it works. And so it's going to be really interesting to see. I think that this could be really good for Wichita State because they know they don't have a football team. They don't have to pay for a football team. And that was the point of why they're being so aggressive in all of this, is the fact that every other team in the American, North Texas and Memphis, they have to share this revenue sharing on their football team as well. But you think of a team like Memphis and how much money they're spending right now because of FedEx checks that are paying for Colby Rogers and these guys to come into that program. That's not going to be a thing anymore. If it is, it's not going to be to the level that it is. So it's going to level that playing field a lot more. And the fact that they're going to invest so much because they don't have to invest in the other things is going to help Wichita State a lot.
I mean, listen, I don't fault Kevin Saul, or Wichita State for being aggressive. Like, you have to do what you have to do. I mean, they have to be a player in this new landscape. And if they don't, they're going to get left behind. And you know what, honestly, like, I think that one of the motivations, or at least what should be one of the motivations, is just take a look at where the university was from an NIL perspective 3 years ago, before Kevin Saul got here. And he made that a priority of his when he first got here, was like, look, we can't be left behind, and it's moving quickly, and we've got to jump into it head first. And they have, to their credit. They're not all the way there yet. But they have to operate within the confines of the way the landscape is right now. I think there are three, in my opinion, right now, and maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I feel like there are three distinct buckets as far as contributions for players, right? There's what we all have come to know from NIL, like the early days of NIL, when it was the local car dealership paying a guy to do a commercial for him, and they're getting compensated for it, or a player going and doing a clinic and signing autographs and charging people for it, being able to be compensated for that. So there's that aspect of it, which I don't know how much that even still exists. It did a lot early on in the early days of NIL with the collectives and all of that. But I think that there's that bucket. And then there is a reciprocal aspect to it where the business is making some money off of it. You get value from the player in return, and the player gets compensated. So there's that bucket. Then there's the bucket of revenue sharing, which we're headed towards, where there's a reciprocal aspect to it as well. The fan buys a ticket, the fan goes to the concessions, the fan goes to the team store. They're receiving something in return, and then the players get a portion of the dollars. That's aspect number 2. But then aspect number 3 is, hey, we just need the fans to write the check. We just need the fans to donate. And what's difficult, and we mentioned this yesterday on the show when we briefly talked about it, is that, Kevin Saul, I think smartly, the thing about Kevin Saul, he's a very intelligent guy, and he's very thoughtful in the way that he puts things together. But he talks about how the additional $1 million will put the Shockers at kind of a level playing field with the budgets of teams that were in the Sweet 16 this year. That, however, does not correlate that will automatically mean the Shockers will make the Sweet 16. So I think that's the tough sell, is that, yeah, okay, from a budget perspective, we can spend about what these other Sweet 16 teams are spending, but that doesn't guarantee wins. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to do better than 8th in the American this year.
Yeah, that's the thing that I brought up to him as well of why this is such a tough sell, is that you're not asking for $1 million to build 5 rosters. You're asking for $1 million this summer to build the roster for next year. And then if all those guys leave, we got to do it again. Even if they stay, you have to do it again. You're not like signing these guys to 4-year contracts. You're signing them for a 1-year deal, and your $1 million will go towards that. And then if that team isn't good, and then there goes your $1 million. That's all it was. And then you're going to do it again the next year. And that's what is the right now of the product of, like you said, we just need you to write a check. Like, just send cash. Like, we got to pay these guys. Just send us some money. It's not sustainable, and it's what everybody said since the beginning, especially for K-State, who's spending $5 million on a roster, $6 million on a roster. Eventually Jerome Tang's going to call one of these guys, and he's going to say, "What am I paying for? Right. We haven't made a Final Four. What am I paying you millions of dollars for to go do this?" And there's going to be burnout in this, and so the fact that they're doing this is, I think it's going to just bring it back down to earth. The argument that I talked to him about is that whenever the lawsuit came out that players were going to be able to be paid, it was like, oh, great. Like, players like Johnny Manziel, who raised so much money for Texas A&M, didn't get a cent of that.
Yeah.
Well, he did. But
guys
like that.
At least in the up and up,
Guys like that weren't able to get checks, even though their universities were raising millions and millions of dollars off of your play on the field. And it's like, okay, great. Those guys are going to get a cut now. It was never, we should pay those guys. That's not what anybody ever wanted whenever this happened. We need to be paying those guys. So I think that it was lost in translation somewhere with the amateurism conversation. This makes so much more sense, because if KU football goes to the CFP and sells out every single game and makes a ton of money, Jalen Daniels will get to see that money and success. Not, hey, guys, look how good Jalen Daniels is playing. You should write a $1,000 check.
Totally, right. Or on top of it, which I don't think this is an overall bad thing, but the way that it had been, at least early on in the NIL days, is, hey, KU football has had success. And Jalen Daniels, if you want to go and capitalize on it and go and get an endorsement deal for yourself, that's great. We'll let you do that. Okay, cool. Like, they're compensated in that way, and there's no issue with that. But it's not a direct compensation from the program that these players have helped make a ton of money for.
Yeah, that was the thing. Whenever I remember doing a story back whenever the Armchair Collective started, what's now Wheat Shot Collective, Armchair Strategies. They were telling me, and it was just like, this is going to work in the fact of like, you will donate to this collective. The players will go out into the community and whatever, cut a ribbon at an opening, sign an autograph, show up at a clinic or whatever, and then we will be able to give them checks through this. I don't
know if that ever happened.
I don't think it happens at all anywhere. And so the fact is, now it just turns into, you just give us money and then we just write a check to these guys, and that's just what it is. So I was at the beginning, it was supposed to be like, these players are going to get out in the community, they're going to do more, they're going to earn this money. It's going to be a job if they want to get this money. Now it's just the fact of, if you just are on the team, we'll just pay you.
Yeah, we'll pay you based on your on the court worth and,
Yeah.
and what you can do for us. I think my biggest concern, and I've said it multiple times, and I'll say it again, my biggest concern is that as it stands right now, this is currently a moving target. And until there are guardrails in place, until the court cases happen and everything is ruled on and we actually have things settled down, you're gonna continue to see, I think, the market driven upward, because players are always going to want more, agents are always going to want more. And then honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, yeah, if you can go and get it, go and get it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can go and if you're Coleman Hawkins and you can get $2 million out of Kansas State, by all means, go and do it. If they're willing to pay you that, then go and get it. But I think that value, at least, that the asking price will continue to go up and up and up until there is something that levels it out.
Yeah,
And if that's a salary cap, then that's ultimately what it's going to do.
That's what I think is going to just level the playing field of college basketball and every sport so much more, is the fact of, AJ Divansa, the number one player in the country, he wanted over $3 million in NIL money to go to wherever he went. And so like, if that turns into a thing where he's coming to Bill Self and saying, I want $3 million to play here next year, like Bill Self will have to be like, we literally can't pay you that. Like right now we can't pay you that, but give me an hour and I'll make some phone calls.
Make some calls.
And we can make this happen. Then it will be like, we literally can't put you on our roster if you're going to ask for that much money. And then that'll trickle down to Cincinnati. You got $3 million laying around. Congrats, you got AJ Divansa. If that's what you want is the money, it'll be spread around more. Like these guys won't be able to just, like you said, moving target and keep going up and keep going up. Because in professional sports, you talk about the market value of what the wide receivers are getting paid. That's why the Chiefs couldn't keep Tyreek Hill. Right. If that was the model, the Chiefs would make some phone calls to David Glass or whatever and just say, hey, Tyreek Hill wants an extra $30 million. Could you make that happen? Yeah, sure.
Well, and what we also don't see in the NFL, or in any professional sport is, we don't see, Brett Veach or Clark Hunt writing a letter to the fan base and saying, hey, we really want to keep Tyreek Hill.
Exactly.
We need all Chiefs fans to write us a check for $100.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to keep him next year, like, we need you. Like, that's not the way that it works. And I know, again, it's amateurism, I guess, quote unquote, compared to professional sports. But it's a different landscape. And what I don't want to have happen is and again, I'm not blaming Kevin Saul for it. He's operating within the system that is in place right now. But I don't want him to say, all right, Shocker fans, we need your help with $1 million. And then a year from now, okay, Shocker fans, the market is even higher. We need $2 million from you this year. We need $4 million. Like, where does it stop? Where does it end? Because if there is, and I know there is already fatigue, can you imagine the large benefactors, the large donors who are just getting like bled dry if this continues to happen?
I think that's the best part about all of this, of what they would do with this rule change, is the fact that, one, there will be a limit, and the NCAA will say you can't spend more than this. And that's going to protect the fans from getting, bargained down to and writing all those checks. So, it'll be really interesting.
You can find that story that TJ had with Kevin Saul on the KWCH website. Check it out there, and it's pretty interesting stuff. We're going to continue our transfer portal conversation, but shift it over to KU. Flory Bidunga is back to the Jayhawks. Shreyas Laddha, our KU insider, joins us next. Don't go anywhere. It's Sports Daily coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, Tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
And now, digging deeper with the teams you follow, it's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Daily here on KFH. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, our KU insider Shreyas Laddha joining us. Shreyas, we've been waiting to talk to you all week. It seems like there's been some interesting developments with the Jayhawks. Flory Bidunga announces over the weekend that he is making his return to Kansas. And, it was a week of drama, a week of uncertainty from Kansas and the program. But ultimately, Flory is coming back. Walk us through in how this all went down, how surprised you were when this decision was made, and where things stand now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily surprised. I thought Kansas always had a shot. I had been talking to his camp throughout the whole process. I think when the initial announcement went out, his camp was pretty adamant that they were kind of just very much keeping Kansas in consideration. I think there was always a sense it was going to come down to Kansas or Auburn. I talked to his camp on Thursday, and they told me that a decision could come by the end of the week, is what I was told, and that Kansas wasn't out of it. The meeting went well with Bill Self and his staff. He was going to take some time over the weekend to kind of figure out some things, and I think he decided around Friday, Saturday or so. I think the biggest thing was, he wanted the reassurance that they're going to build a roster that'll be around him. They picked up some new transfer guys, but also, he talked to Darren Peterson. He knows how much he can help his game. They can help each other's game. And I'm sure he got a nice pay raise, NIL wise. Nowadays, that's kind of what it is when you enter the portal. But I will say this. I know a lot of people said it's an NIL money rate thing. I've been told that, if he was chasing the money, he would have gone. I mean, Kansas and Auburn necessarily wouldn't even be in consideration. There were schools offering him $3.5 million, which I don't think he's getting paid anywhere near that at Kansas. I think one of the few things I've been told is he really wants to develop into the next big Kansas big man to play in the NBA. And I think that's the big thing he's been working on this offseason. He's been trying to expand his range. It's something he told me last summer that he's working on his jump shot. Let's see if you can bring it out this year, because Kansas will certainly need it.
Shreyas, you kind of answered the question that I was about to ask you there. I know you reported that he said, in his camp said, that it wasn't an NIL thing for the reason they were entering the portal. Is it a roster thing? Was there anything about the way that this past season went that, maybe drove him to entering the portal? What was he looking for, and what was it that brought him back?
I think it was interesting. I think the uncertainty of the roster was definitely a big part in him kind of being unsure of where things were going to go. I think NIL was a factor, not the only factor. I also do think, he just wanted to be in a situation where, his skills are developed. I think there was a little bit of, okay, how am I going to get to a point where I want to play in the NBA? There's no rush in the sense I've been told from his camp to get there. And, the NBA needs to happen next year, but they want him. They really want to. The push right now is he's got to develop the skills that will get him drafted. Right now, everyone knows he's hyper athletic. He can defend the rim, but the NBA skill of being able to score outside of 5 feet, is big. You have to be able to shoot in this day and age in the NBA, even if you're a big man, which he knows. And it's something that they talked about. I mean, he's only been playing basketball for about 4 years now. So everything is relatively new for him. But, I think him coming back, the transfer additions are big. I think Darren Peterson did a good job of, talking about how good they can be together. And that's something I've heard from a lot of guys I've talked to on the phone who have been associated with KU. Darren Peterson is making his pitch. He's doing the rounds. He's doing everything he can to make sure he has a roster next year that can make a deep run. That is a big selling point from Kansas too. I've been told a lot of transfers are hearing from himself and his staff of how they can be the guy alongside Darren Peterson, or how they can help out Darren Peterson. And a lot of these guys, transfer wise, who I've talked to, are also, it feels like when I talk to them, it feels like they're selling themselves to me of why they can play alongside Darren Peterson. So it's a little bit of a two-way street. And with Flory coming back, I think the big thing for him was roster reassurance, development stuff. Obviously, NIL was a factor, not the only factor. And I never really truly got the sense that Kansas was out of it. I know a lot of reporting said, Auburn was a front runner. I think at one point maybe they might have been initially, but I think the meeting with Self went really well. And I think, Self does a great job of reassuring him that Flory is valued and needed, and I think definitely wanted on this roster.
I think it brings up a really good point that actually TJ and I were talking about earlier this hour as it relates to Darren Peterson and how Bill Self attacks the portal, knowing not only that Flory is back, but then they've also got Darren Peterson there. I know that throughout his high school career, his development and all of that, Peterson was the guy. He was the ball handler. He produced offense off the dribble, all of that. Is the pitch to potential other transfers coming in that, hey, we want you to play alongside him off the ball? Or do you think Bill Self maybe wants to utilize Peterson himself more off ball and find somebody else who can be a facilitator?
I definitely think it's the first one. I definitely think, that I would be very surprised if Peterson doesn't have the ball in his hands as much as possible. For better or worse, next year's Kansas team is probably going to fall on how good Peterson is next year. I'd been told from Peterson's camp back when I talked to them like months ago that they wanted to be at a school where he can handle the ball and be a point guard, really develop those skills. So I presume that's what's going to happen at Kansas. That's one of the reasons that I think AJ never really had a shot to come to Kansas, because I don't think they could really play alongside each other because both of them really wanted the ball in their hands. So I'm excited to kind of see that matchup, BYU, Kansas. But going back to it, I definitely think it's, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a little more off ball just because those skills are big and important to learn, because I'm sure he's going to have that in the NBA. But I think the vast majority of the time, if he's in the game, he's probably going to have the ball in his hands. I think that's kind of what the thing is how can you play alongside Peterson? Not, okay, how can you set up Peterson for this thing? I just don't think they're looking for just a traditional point guard. They want a combo guard, like Jaden Dawkins is a good example. I don't think he's going to necessarily be Dawson. Sorry. I don't think he's necessarily going to be starting for them, but he's going to compete for a role with Marco and Jamari for that starting role. And then depending who else they bring in, of course, guard wise.
Shreyas, I'm really interested. I love this transfer portal stuff, and I love how deep you're digging into it, especially. I know how much work that takes. Right now, I'm really curious about the route that they're going to take, because the last 2 years in the portal, KU's been if you're in the top 50, we're just going to offer everybody. That's why they got, AJ Storr, Nick Timberlake, all these guys that didn't necessarily fit the scheme. They just got as many good players as they could. Based on their 2 signings so far, it feels like they're just building a team kind of around Darren Peterson and Flory. Do you expect them to go get a star out of this portal?
I don't know about necessarily a star, but I think they need to get a wing. They don't really have any wings right now on this team. I think they could really benefit from a wing that can score the ball. I was kind of paying attention to Cincinnati. I think they had a forward come out in the recent days, but from what I was told from his camp, they haven't heard anything Kansas-wise, so maybe that'll change. But I definitely think they will pick up at least one name that might get some kind of eyeballs on it. But I think right now, like you said, it's more so about fit alongside Darren Peterson than anything. And I think that's better for Kansas in the long run. You don't just need to sign the guys that are top 50. It clearly doesn't work for Kansas. I mean, we looked at the last 2 years, the most successful camp transfers they've had is Kevin McCullough, a guy who obviously was a top transfer, Hunter Dickinson, top transfer. But outside of that, I don't think they've had any successful top transfer guys play up to par. No one expected Zeke Mayo to be the best player on the team, or at least the best transfer on the team last year. I think this time coming in.
We don't have time to really get into all of these comments, but there were some really interesting comments that Hunter Dickinson made when he was on site at the Final Four on CBS Sports. A lot about NIL, how much money he was making compared to what the perception was, kind of not even just with him, but the amount of budget that Kansas has. I mean, one of his comments was that, people think that the Jayhawks are in like the top 15 of spending. And he was like, Kansas wasn't even in the top 25 as far as spending on NIL dollars. Again, we don't have time to get into all of it. What was the most interesting or revealing comment that you feel like Dickinson made?
I'm not necessarily surprised about the top 15. I was a little surprised they're not top 25. I thought it was really interesting. A few months ago, I asked Self about the GM thing of like, why, would you hire a GM and what are you looking for? And I thought that comment kind of coincided with what Hunter Dickinson was saying, that if they hired a GM, they want a guy who can help fundraise, which makes sense to me, right? Like you think about it, you need guys to, get more NIL dollars. Now that we're heading to a point where hopefully this rev share thing passes, all this stuff happens, that $20.5 million will be stretched out through all the sports, and you have to kind of budget from there. I think it'll be really interesting. But I think the comments were kind of illuminating for everyone on the outside looking in, because we really don't know the numbers, right? And we still don't quite know what the numbers are. I'd heard, Hunter Dickinson was the guy making the most of the roster, but that was pretty much it. Like there was no like concrete, he's making X amount of money. I know, right. Like, for example, even with the Johnny Furphy thing, for example, last year, everyone said he wasn't getting paid. That's not true. He was getting paid. They'd have to go to Australia to pay him. That's what I was told. Like, it was just a kind of a hassle. So it's interesting because I've talked to some agents. I've talked to people around. Kansas is not necessarily the highest bidder on these guys. I think they're more, patient with the money is the word I'd use. Like teams like Auburn they will throw the bag. Kentucky will throw the bag at guys that you maybe not necessarily as interested as you thought they would be. I've heard a lot of that happening, especially Auburn. It seems like they come out of nowhere every year, and with guys that they necessarily weren't in realm of getting, and they drop $2-3 million on them. And I don't think Kansas is necessarily doing that on anybody. I think next year's roster, for example, I don't think anyone's going to be making more than $3 million unless their name is Darren Peterson.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you mentioned Auburn, you mentioned Kentucky. I think Indiana's probably in that world, especially this year. There are Memphis is probably one of those teams as well that is just going to throw the bag at players to come in, and it doesn't sound like Kansas, at least according to Hunter Dickinson, is one of those teams. He even said that he's not even making. He didn't even make seven figures on this Kansas squad, which is interesting because I would have thought he would have been over that $1 million threshold, but according to Dickinson. Apparently not. It's a really interesting landscape overall, Shreyas. And, maybe by this time next week, we'll have, one, maybe two, who knows, new additions to this Kansas roster. Are you hearing that there might be some movement happening relatively soon?
Yeah, I believe they have a visit coming in this weekend. I honestly, with the way Kansas is operating, it just feels like they just randomly drop guys and guys just pick up out of nowhere. You never know. I presume they'll probably have at least one guy at it by the end of this week or early next week. The thing is right now, what they're lacking is a backup center. They need a scoring wing, and they need probably another guard. Then after that, you can kind of use the two spots on whatever. Maybe you get a guy back that's in the portal. That's not like, for example, Marquise Passmore. He hasn't ruled out Kansas being out of there. I mean, I talked to him a couple weeks ago about that, and he told me that. So maybe you bring back one of those guys. I think the Diggy Coit thing, him going to Maryland, I wish him the best. But, I think he would have been a good cultural guy to bring back. But I get his kind of flaws. And I know he loved Kansas. I know he wasn't just entering his name in the portal for the sense of entering the portal. I think from what I heard, it was, a mutual, like, okay, if you're available in the portal late and there's an opening there, come back. We'd be open to it. But I think Kansas was looking to add guys that can play both ways as much as possible.
Well, we'll keep our eyes open to it, and maybe by next week we'll have some new additions to talk about. Shreyas, we appreciate it as always, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, there goes Shreyas Laddha, Shreyas Laddha, our KU insider. You can follow him, SHRE98 on X. More Sports Daily is on the way.